It was mainly initially him and Howard Wilson and myself, and it was decided, I'm not quite sure by who, that we should have a structure, and that's when the Taranaki Community Stadium Trust was established back in the mid-1980s. And the aim back then was to get a site in New Plymouth. Pukekura Park was first choice. That was simply not on the menu. The council would not agree. Funding was a problem. There were no trusts then that we could call on. The Taranaki Electricity Trust could not provide money in New Plymouth. We looked at Sacred Heart, looked at various other sites in town, and really pushed water uphill for some years. And I can remember one meeting here with some fairly senior council officers, and it got a little bit heated and we simply got nowhere. A lot of fundraising. We had a major fundraiser with a mystery envelope appeal, raised something like $40,000. I know I helped count the money afterwards, and a filthy job it was too. But it got nowhere, and then we effectively went into recess. Didn't close it down, but the whole thing stopped. And then it would be about probably 1992, I think, when Wally Gillam picked it up again and promoted it, and he pushed hard, and he was trying in New Plymouth. I wasn't at that stage involved, but I was working with Wally, and he was getting a bit down to it because things weren't working, and he said to me, well, you know, we just can't get anywhere. The only money available is the Taranaki Electricity Trust, and they can't fund New Plymouth. And I remember saying to him, well, Wally, if we can't get what we want, let's see what we can get. Let's have a look at Inglewood. And I think it was Bill Watson was the chairman of the TET at that stage. And we had a discussion, the three of us, and it more or less went from there. Wally was the driver of that development. I'm not quite sure it would have happened without him. And the trust came out of they decided rather than have a new trust, we'd reinvent the one that already existed. And since I've been chairman on that, they gave me the honour, such as it was, of being chairman again. But we had a very, very effective committee. And Murray McEwen is our secretary, and of course he's a lawyer, and we had some issues here that he dealt with for us that we might have had problems from otherwise. And John Angel from Van Bury Accountants, he was our financial controller. And Krillin Keeg and Howard Wilson represented athletics. And we had council reps at times. The one who I remember most is Lynn Bublitz. And he had a wonderful knack of identifying a problem before we even saw it, and he'd always have a solution. He never dropped it on us. He was a very valuable man indeed, and it made a big difference. But the cooperation we had with Inglewood Rugby was a major plus right from day one. And Kelvin Jackson was their main representative. And then the Mondo people approached us. They wanted a track in New Zealand. They wanted a presence in New Zealand because they could see what was coming. You know, there's tracks all over the country now. And they gave us a good deal, and it really went from there. The New Zealand Senior Men's 10,000 metre track championship, a couple of years in the early stages, and we got some very good runners along, and I think including 3 or 4 Australians one year. There were some very good results from that. And of course Zoe Hobbs was brought up on this track, right from about 7 years old. She's a good little runner she was too, and still is. Her and Michaela Blyde were neck and neck for quite a number of years. And then Zoe got a bit ahead, not much because Michaela was quick. The simple fact is, without the track we don't get Colgate Games, we don't get nationals, we don't get anything. And with it we do. We've got, I've seen most of the facilities in the country, and I think broadly we've got probably the best in the country. Taking into account not only the track itself, but the building there, the wind shelter, that's a major. For athletics, that's a major. You go to Newtown Park in Wellington, you'll know what I mean. And all that open ground out the back there. When we had Colgate Games here, we had a tent village out there. Plenty of room for everything and everybody. And there's no other track in the country that I can think of with quite that amount of open space nearby. The more people that use it, the better case we've got to put up when it comes to funding. You know, we had, I think, something like 250 bookings in the first year of all sorts. Big ones and little ones and schools and bits and pieces. It's a community facility. It's not an athletic facility or rugby, it's a community trust. And it must stay that way.